Sanam, welcome. It's the Pisces new moon. We're in it. We're past the actual moment, but that's what we're here for. We've been practicing, for whatever part of the day you've been practicing for, which is important. This is important. But before I get too wandered off, the Pisces new moon happened precisely 1 a.m. Pacific time, and well, it's just fan-fucking-tastic. So the Pisces energy in general, Pisces, we get these kinds of metaphysical nebulae. No, it's not what I'm looking for. There's a lot of fuzz on the edges, right? There's a lot of disclarity. There's a lot of confusion and malleability. That's a good word for it. The malleability of the kind of realities that we exist in. We have the three-dimensional reality that we can perceive with our senses, and we have the extra reality. We have the augmented reality, if you decide to go about it in the augmented fashion. You have surreality, surreal, the things that are real but seem unreal because we can't perceive them properly. We have the mystical and metaphysical, the things that exist slightly outside of our realistic realm, and we see them, we know them, we can kind of reach toward them, but they're intangible in a certain way, right? And Pisces blurs the edges between all of those. It blurs the edges so that the things kind of morph together a little bit. We get closer to the metaphysical. We get closer to the spiritual. We get closer to God. And in that closeness, in this time, we get to touch our own spirits a little more. And that's Pisces season. The last season before we move into a new solar cycle. We move into a new astrological cycle. And so we want to tap into that. We want to use this time to meditate and to practice in a way that brings us closer to our spirit. It's the last sign of the zodiac. It's seen as the omega energy, all important as, the alpha, which is Aries. We get this omega, the ending, the period of time where things sink back into the primordial chaos so that they can become new, so that they can become something else, so that they can dive wholeheartedly and horns first into a new experience of existence. So we want to practice and meditate, and this allows us to be rid of the things that hold us back from new experiences. So Pisces season brings us those opportunities. When the sun moves into a sign, like it did on the 19th of this month, last month, it moved into Pisces. It brought the external world into that sphere of influence, into that realm. So we have the solar energy. We have this kind of external buzz about us, around us, that we're swimming in, and so we kind of perceive it that way. And then we get the moon moving into the sign of Pisces, which happened yesterday, and then the internal happens. The internal space shifts into the sign of its respective movement. And then we get the new moon, and it kind of solidifies that, and it starts a lunar cycle, which is now we've ended the Aquarius lunar cycle. We've started the Pisces lunar cycle with this new moon. And as we shift the internal world into the awareness of Pisces, we become all the more capable of actually reaching deeper into that spiritual experience, into that experience of the divine, of the mystical, the hidden and intangible. So there's our new moon in Pisces. That's what we practice with. That's what we are practicing for. And we get to play with the moon in Pisces for, let's see, what would it be? Another Not very long. If I remember correctly, it actually moves out of Pisces by the end of today. So it's either the end of today or the middle of the night for people elsewhere in the world. And this little window, we get to set ourselves in a particular space. We get to set ourselves in a particular spiritual potency. And, this carries on throughout the lunar cycle. But if at all possible, you're actually doing this while the moon is still in Pisces. So various things influencing this. We have the most influential, the most immediately influential, and also the most interesting, probably. So we have the sun and moon in Pisces working in harmony, in energized harmony, in fairly tight energized harmony with the planet of Uranus, the planet of, well, amongst other things, the individual capacity, the individual consciousness, and how that connects to and reflects and operates from the collective consciousness. Because it's not just about us, it's not the narcissistic me, it is the ultimate understanding of me as an individual representation of the whole. So we have that. Uranus rules that capacity. Uranus moving through Taurus plays that capacity out through the realm of the real, through the realm of the tangible, three-dimensional, and also through the realm of our values, the things that we value as important and valuable and worthwhile in our life, whether that be an action that we take because it is worthwhile in that we take it and it has some value to us purely in that action. There's always a tangible result. We have a way of acting in the world, and we do that because of a certain thing, because of our values. So we have actions as values, and we have the actions that lead us to values, whether that be money or security or friendship and partnership, whatever it is that's bringing us toward what we value, that is Taurian territory. The values that we have, or rather, the action, I suppose, is not particularly the Taurian territory. The value is the Taurian territory. So we have the individual consciousness representing the consciousness as a whole, playing out through the field of values, connecting with this new moon in Pisces as we touch into the spiritual and the intangible, and we work that with the individual and the tangible. We have a fantastic dichotomy there. We have good energy between these two. And Uranus is also the thing that brings up the unexpected and the that which can't necessarily be processed in an easy way. To put it that way, another way of putting it would be traumatic. The things that hit us so deeply, so intently, so intensely that we're stopped by it. That it literally creates a frozen piece of time that we have to address and understand and adjust to. That is ultimately what trauma is. We freeze a moment in time until we can understand it, and that's when the thing thaws and releases. Now, we have Uranus bringing up these things that have already happened, and it also may bring about things that happen in this cycle that create that kind of frozen moment in time. And you don't have to think of it in an intense, like, this is going to be traumatic. It'll be something you'll be messing with for the rest of your life. But there are things which traumatize us on a subtle basis as well as a very tangible basis. So these things, we recognize them, we try to understand them, we try to thaw the ice a little bit so the things release, so the things can go back to the flow, the movement of our human experience. And So that also connects with, these 2 points connect with, very importantly and very strangely, unavoidably, the nodes of the moon. So the nodes of the moon point to, in the collective sense, the influence upon society and the influence that society is placing upon itself. So we get the south node, the things that society has established and gone through and practiced and fucked up as many times as possible, and it's time for us to move away from that and out of whatever piece doesn't work anymore. And we have the north node, pointing to the ways that society must move in order to move away from and also or master the things which we didn't do well in the other realm. We have the south node in Libra, relations, our understandings of beauty and truth and love. We have the north node in Aries, the notions of self and courage and I had a third, but it'll come out later. The unavoidable part of this is that this new moon in Pisces, which we want to start new things on the new moon, we want to create new cycles with the new moon. This is also a season of removal, of release, of allowing to let go, of the dissolution of things that no longer serve us. So to start something in this season, well, you can start whatever you want. It's the new moon. It will gain energy regardless. But to take most advantage of it, start the process of some form of release. I specifically say release because healing is not quite the right word. It's not quite the right word. I mean, you are whole, you are healed, you are in your human form perfect. You know, there are obvious physiological exceptions to that, but to a certain extent, we're very well affected in our physiological form by the emotional and the ethereal and the energetic. So the mechanism of release is the process that I want to invoke here. So allowing for a new cycle of release to begin with the new moon in Pisces. And this can be healing from, well, this can be, let's see here. See, I got back on the healing word. It's a grippy word in this society. It's taken a lot of people's focus to the extent that there's Instagram handles that like completely make fun of it. There's like healing from healing, which is one of my favorites. It's fucking hilarious. The concept is hilarious. Anyway, the constant rehashing and retrashing of our traumas as a way of escaping our actual spiritual growth is fantastic in this world. So our potential for that is always there. Anyway, a new cycle of release. The potential here, with Uranus involved, is to dramatically release or to release what you will be dramatically affected by. So, you know, if you're not releasing something, if you're not moving something, if the energy isn't moving, then you're basically just a magnet for other potential dramatic, traumatic experiences. We freeze in time and we're an easier target. Let's just think of it that way. So there's that element of it. Now, when we tie in the South Node element, the beauty, the truth, the love, the relationships that we're in or that we have been in, this is a time where there can be a huge amount of breath brought into that, brought into those cycles of trauma and pain and whatever else you want to call it. So allowing for breath to take place, allowing for the ice to thaw, allowing for the snow to melt so that we can bring in spring properly, right? The other part of this, the other fun part of this, well, also connected to that weird triad of things. We also have the North Node, and so we have Sun and Moon, Uranus, and then we have the South Node over here in Libra. And these 3 points create what's called the finger of God, the Yod. I may not have pronounced it perfectly, but this finger of God is it's a point of destiny. There's a point of unavoidable trajectory in it. So we're unavoidably projected toward some element of our previous existence, of our previous life, of our previous years, of our previous perceptions of what happened, and we are thrust into that without any real ability to control whether or not we go there. So just understand surrender. Understand surrender, and I'm going to touch more on that shortly. But the ability to let yourself move into that space without resisting it, because you resist it, it just becomes more nonsensical, and its own power just gains and grows until it pushes you in the direction that it wants to. Right? Sometimes you just gotta let go. Let go and let God. That's a good one. Let go and let God. The availability of pure, clean insight is infinite, really. It's infinite within that space. As you let go and you're allowing yourself to be moved into this process of release, into this process of understanding and recognition and even reverence for the experiences, then you gain insight. You gain this infinite insight. Pisces is connected to Source, right? It's the direct uplink from here to God. And we also have Uranus, this ruler of powerful, potent, electric, collective consciousness, which is nearly synonymous with God. I'm not going to say it is, but it's a level on the way toward God, right? So we have connections in this moment to insights that we don't always have connection to. We don't always have the immediate conscious ability to tap into. So we want to play with that. We want to play with that, definitely. And this gives us the ability to realize whatever we want to realize. And I mean that in both senses. So to realize, to understand, and to see and perceive in a way that brings it into our consciousness, and to realize, to bring it into reality. So both of these potentials exist in this. And why that's important is because it's the new moon. Whatever things you're intending to be in the future, or intending to bring into reality, whatever things you're intending to understand, you can realize them through this process, through this very powerful energy. So that's the new moon portion of it. Oh, right. Also, finger of God, we also have a very powerful opposing point to that. And it doesn't oppose the energy, it creates a focal amplifier, basically. It creates a kind of another aspect of unavoidability. It's because you can go without avoiding it and just move into it, but you don't always have to be aware of it. But when we bring this extra point in, we have to be aware. The point is the north node of the moon, which is always opposite the south node, and that north node is connected very tightly currently with Chiron, our favorite centaur, right? the centaur, which survived. I believe that, I can't remember the mythology about it at the moment. There was something about most centaurs being perceived as incapable or beasts or whatever, and then this one escaped the kind of escaped the stereotypes, but also the chastisement and the refusal and the pushing out, and became a healer, became a doctor, became a learned healer of living beings. So he gained knowledge. He became the healer through the process of facing his pains and trials and tribulations and all the things that might take him out or down, whichever metaphor you want to use. He used that experience and that energy to be able to heal others. So Chiron, the wounded healer. That's the common phrasing. Chiron, the wounded healer. Also, some schools of thought have Chiron being the ruler of Virgo, the sign of health and healing. And so we have Chiron here, which points us to our wounds and how we address them, but also how they benefit our attention to other people in the future. So what are all the things that we're most attentive to in other people? For anyone who has had a traumatic life and who has had a life that has created a kind of empathy and sympathy within them, they see most clearly the things in other people that they have already experienced, and they want deeply to help them. Now, it's a trap. Until they actually want help, it's a trap. Don't forget that. But Chiron bringing into the picture the desire to help others and the desire to allow yourself to heal so that you can help others. That's the call here. Damn it, I used heal again. Ignore the word heal. Use only release. Release, restructure, refortify, rebuild, become greater. Become greater, that's all. So we've got that playing this little violin in the corner, bringing us to a focal point within all of this. That's our new moon and how it directly connects to things in the sky. And then we have these other things, which are fantastic also. A little more lighthearted, a little more jovial and beneficent in their disposition, which is fantastic. So we have Neptune, the modern ruler of Pisces. We have Neptune, this planet of Pisces, which is in the sign of Pisces, has been for quite some time, is going to stay there until 2025. The planet Neptune is currently in this very kind of light, two mild aspects. And these mild aspects, they're not major aspects. They're not the ones that are, traditionally, they're not like the three big aspects or whatever. The four, the set of four. It's like conjunctions and oppositions, trines and sextiles and squares. Those three are kind of their three categorizations of major aspects. But you have these other minor aspects that create a kind of added energy within the mix. So when Neptune is affected, Pisces is affected. Everything within Pisces is affected by this Neptunian energy. So we get the new moon, which is ruled by Neptune, being the ruler of Pisces, and it's being ever so slightly affected, ever so gently affected in a harmonious way, in a rather lovely way, actually, by Venus. When we get Venus and Neptune together, they're always beautiful. We get Venus, the planet of love, earthly love, the love of self and the love of others, and love of relationships and the love of things and the love that we share with the world, the love that we talk about most often, or the love that we act out most often. I would say we talk about this second kind of love more often, but we don't quite understand that there's a difference. The second kind, or maybe the first kind, is Neptunian, is agape. It is the deep love that comes from the Spirit. There is no, the love which posits the notion that there is no other. There is only being, right? And there is a love for that being. There is a love and a deep connection and appreciation for existence as a whole. Agape is the love of the Lord rained down upon thee. It is the pure, unadulterated, unmitigated, and unlimited love. So when we get Venus and Neptune together, it's lovely. So a slight harmony. It's like a gentle static spark between the two, and that brings about a kind of daydreaminess, a kind of ethereal glow around everything, and we love that. And especially it's Pisces season. We want to move into the world with a sense of almost rose-colored glasses, right? Now the caution is we must discriminate. We must be discerning in what we actually give to others and what we actually try to get from others. But ultimately, just allow yourself to see the world with a bit more glow, a bit more shininess, and that plays into other elements of this. So we get also Jupiter in a different kind of gentle aspect with Neptune. Jupiter, always good, wants more of the experience, more of the understanding, more of the meat of it. It's like the contents must be greater, it must be more fully taken in. It's like It's like doing something once and enjoying it so much that you want to do it again because you know that there's more in there for you. That's Jupiter. Then it's a mildly frictional energy. We get this mildly frictional energy between Jupiter and Neptune. And it's ultimately we get these two together. They're the traditional ruler of Pisces and the modern ruler of Pisces. So they're both very spiritual. They're both very oriented toward the good in the biblical sense. They're oriented toward the good. And so the call is faith, right? But not an overabundance of faith. We're not taking things on faith. We have faith that things are good. We can investigate. We can understand things better. But ultimately, we can have faith, the ability to have it. That's all. That's all we need from this. So we get these two energies mixing together, and that's fantastic. At the same time, Jupiter's also interacting with a stronger influence, Saturn. Saturn is a teacher. We learn from Saturn. We learn lessons. We learn boundaries and stability, which actually gives this Jupiterian energy, as it mixes with Neptune, a much more grounded place. So in the places we have faith, there is a much more practical understanding of it. So what things do you offer your faith to? Is there a practicality to it? Is there a result? Is there some reason for that? Or is it just blind faith? Saturn will help you tell the difference, which is always necessary. Finally, last thing I want to touch on is, and then I'll kind of wrap it up with a little bow. Last thing I want to touch on, Mercury which just moved into Aries, moved out of Pisces into Aries, starting a brand new cycle for itself last night. It just moved out last night, and it moved into Aries, and it sits in Aries at the time of the new moon. It was still in the first degree, and it's interacting harmoniously, electrically, enlivenedly, definitely enlivenedly, because it's Aries and Aquarius, with the planet Pluto. So we get Mercury, the planet of quick insight, the planet of the intuitive capacity and the bright intelligence that shines through in moments of necessity, in moments of epiphany. That is Mercury. And interacting with Pluto, the revealer, the seer of all things. I mean, this is weirdly appropriate. Pluto is like the eye of Sauron, but like not discriminately evil. It's the all-seeing. It is the eye at the top of the pyramid in many ways. It's the eye at the top of the tree of life. It's oh boy, I forgot the name. The top placement in the tree of life. Somebody out there knows the word for it. I can't remember. But it's basically the soul, and the soul sees everything. We, mind, the other elements of human existence don't necessarily see everything, but the soul sees all. So we get Mercury, the planet of insight and epiphany, and Pluto, the planet of revealing, the revelatory understanding and vision. So we get these two, and there's a clear vision. There is an absolutely crystal clear substrate to look through into whatever it is you're looking into. To surmise, that may not be the right word. To summarize. To summarize all of these things, we have the new moon bringing us into a fresh cycle of release, so that movement can begin anew. We have this powerful, focal, unavoidable point moving us toward the beautiful, the true, the lovely, and also toward the element of relations and how we relate to other people, whether it's because we reveal something to ourselves about ourselves, or we reveal something to ourselves about some experience. We're moving ourselves toward a better path of connection with other people. That carries with it the infinite insight of Pisces, of the sun and the moon coming together, bringing external and internal together in the sign of infinite connectivity with the divine. The planet Venus and Neptune covering the elements of love and instigating those in a way that is beautiful and kind of revelatory and just really rare. It's really uncommon at the moment. It feels very uncommon. The kind of sensuous, sumptuous, like real gripping attraction and appreciation for things at the moment. There's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of disjointedness. There's a lot of disconnection. And in this cycle, I see a lot of that releasing, breathing away, breathing out, and allowing for us to kind of bring some of those connections back into the living world again. So we have insight and realization and the release of old so that we can make new, and we have the desire for a bigger, better, more fulfilling experience, connecting and kind of agitating the realm of the spirit, bringing us into a need for faith, but in such that we are using it practically. Doesn't quite make sense, but think about it a little harder. Faith when used practically, and the immediate intuitive brilliance of Mercury and Pluto, bringing us an unavoidable sight. The clarity with which you may be able to see what you can laser away out of your existence and make room for the things that you know are coming to you is absolute. It is the most brilliant of diamond-like clarities. Just meditate a little bit, like for a second, for a few seconds. Find half a moment of absolute depth of unthinkingness. And it's like the Big Bang. Suddenly everything exists. Suddenly it's all within view. It's all within your tangible grasp. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. My brain's a little cooked. I think that's all I have for you today. Fantastic. I love you. Have a wonderful Pisces new moon day. Enjoy the rest of enjoy the rest of Sunday or Monday or whenever you watch this. Enjoy Pisces, the Pisces cycle. We're moving into, this is also important. Almost forgot. So we have, I summed that all up for you, and that's all well and good. The next layer of why this is particularly potent and important is because this is all setting up in connection with the point where the eclipse, the Libra eclipse, will happen in 2 weeks. The full moon in Libra on the 25th, the 25th of this month, happens very close to where that south node in Libra is currently. So this is kind of an activation point. This is an opening of the portal of energy. We're in the cycle within which the eclipse season cycle begins. And so we're activating a certain point within it. And it doesn't always work out like this, where the lunar day that opens the cycle before the eclipse actually activates very powerfully the point of the eclipse. So there's an unavoidability. It's the point that is being moved toward without your real control. It becomes all the more important. The eclipses close and open doors. The eclipses are these shifts within the timeline that open up the ability to move from this state of existence to a different state of existence entirely. And that may happen in a three-dimensional reality. That might happen in some etheric, etheric soup, whatever it is, an etheric soup, might happen within the etheric soup, where you feel the transformation and the shift in the timeline, but you don't really see it reflected outside immediately. Whatever the case, the shift in the timeline happens, and especially when it's activated by this Pisces energy, and it's happening within the Pisces lunar cycle. So this is very exciting. This is fantastic stuff. And that's that. So enjoy the lunar cycle. Enjoy the time leading up to the eclipse. Enjoy the closing and opening of doors. If you see a door crack open, maybe go take a peek, see where it heads. And if you see one closing, don't look at it and think, how can I keep that open? It will close if it is supposed to. And that's that. Surrender. Allow yourself to breathe through all of these new spaces and all of the old spaces that haven't allowed breath before. Okay, so now.